Welcome back, family, as we are continuing our study in the Epistle of Paul to the Romans, and we are now in chapter 10 of the Epistle of Paul to the Romans, chapter 10. And so Paul is going to continue in this stretch, as mentioned, from chapters 9 to 11. And he's going to continue to show the relation of the actual bloodline Hebrews to the gospel. And he's using prophecy to do that. And so he's using prophecy. And now the Gentiles have heard from in the epistle about justification by faith. They've heard how they're connected with Abraham through faith in believing in the Most High's righteousness. And now Paul is explaining to them the actual bloodline and where the bloodline stands in all this. Welcome back, Brother Harriet, Sister Isha, Shama, Brother Superstar, Brother Gary Joseph, Sister Love Blue. Welcome to all of you. Welcome back as we continue this part of our study here from Plant City, Florida. Praise the Most High. So for this part, I would like to look at Moses. And start off with that because we understand a little bit better. Again, we could always go to the beginning, and that's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And almost probably every doctrine in the Bible has a place in the beginning of the Bible. And so here with this is no different. So let's go to Deuteronomy. And I'm looking at Exodus. I'm looking at Exodus. Yes, Exodus, not Deuteronomy. Exodus chapter 34. Exodus chapter 34. So in Exodus 34, Moses goes up to Mount Sinai. Now, Mount Sinai is called three things in the Bible. It's Mount Sinai. It's also called Mount Oreb, same place, Oreb. It's also called the Holy Mount, or, it's also called that. So because why? Because the Father was there with the Messiah. So it's called Oreb. It's called Mount Sinai, which again, when you look at Malachi, it says, "Remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I gave to him in Oreb with the statutes and judgments." That's the same as Mount Sinai. And so that's two of the names. And then it's called the Holy Mountain. That's also another place because the Father had been there. So this is Exodus chapter 34. This would be the second time that Moses went into the presence of the Holy Father and didn't eat or drink for 40 days. This would be the second time that Moses went. The first time he went, if you recall, that was Exodus chapter 19. He went the first time. And then he came down from the mountain and found them acting buck wild and down there, naked, acting crazy, partying, and with a golden calf. So then he broke the two tables of stone because they broke the covenant. The covenant they had just promised that they were going to be obedient to, they broke it. So now he goes back for another 40-day period. And again, let us understand. Let me ask you this question, Bible students. What type of exercise did Moses employ? What was his strategy that allowed him to stay in the mountain without food or water for 40 days? Tell me, how did that happen? I mean, that's pretty tough, isn't it? Stay in place without food or water. Now, people will tell you today that if you go 10 days without water, you're going to die. Thank you, Superstar. The Spirit of the Father, Yah, being in the presence of the Spirit of Yah, caused him to be there where it was humanly impossible. People, including Dick Gregory, the late Dick Gregory, rest in peace, he fasted for 40 days. Dick Gregory did, but he did it on liquids. He lived on liquids for 40 days. I've done a fast on orange juice for 30 days. I think once I did it 39 days. Couldn't make it to the 40th day, but I did it on orange juice for 40 days. 30 days, many times. I don't know how many times, but I used to do it once a year. So you can survive on liquids for an extended amount of time. I remember I've seen people that did it for 90 days or 100 days on liquids. But to be without food or liquids, no water, no juice, nothing, for 40 days, that's humanly impossible. Okay, that's humanly impossible. The Spirit of the Father is able to sustain any person in his presence because the Father is life. He's not just the giver of life, he is life. So if he's blessing you to be in his presence, you're not going to die unless he intends for you, as he's going to intend for the heathen to die when he returns. But if he is embracing you and you're in his presence, in his spirit, you are not going to die. So Moses was kept for 40 days by the Spirit of the Father, as was the prophet Elijah. Elijah ran from Jezebel, and Elijah was worried about Jezebel killing him, as he expressed to the Father. He went to Mount Oreb when he ran, and angel gave him food, and he ate, and the angel woke him up because he was tired, said, eat again. He ate, and then he did not eat again for 40 days. And what is this? Why do I bring all this up? First of all, to emphasize the power of the Father's Spirit in the plan of salvation. Second of all, for us to understand, you and I are soon going to be in this situation, and we're going to be empowered by the Father's latter rain spirit. And we're going to be doing things that are humanly impossible. Okay, we're going to be doing things that are humanly impossible because of the Father's latter rain spirit. And so I'm bringing that out because of what we're getting ready to study today in terms of the law. And we'll talk about that. But for now, let's look at Exodus chapter 34. Exodus chapter 34. I love these words. Exodus chapter 34. We're going to read from verse 27 down to verse 35. Exodus chapter 34 from verse 27 to verse 35. And Yahweh said unto Moses, write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. So now, again, if you go back in the Bible, the Most High said to Noah, I will establish my covenant with you. The Most High said to Abraham, I will establish my covenant with you. The Most High said to Isaac, I'm going to establish my covenant with you. And now he tells the nation of Jacob's children, I've made a covenant with you. It's the only time in the history of the planet, according to the Bible, that he made a covenant with a nation of people. See, there are nations that claim that their laws, whether they be Bill of Rights or whatever, are from the Most High. He ain't make no covenant with heathen. There's no heathen nation and no nation, period, that he has made a covenant with. Only Israel. Okay? And let me just remind us, if he made a covenant with Israel, can it be broken? Will he forget it? Will he change his mind? Will he decide I'm no longer going to have a covenant with Israel after I said I'm having a covenant, which I'm not going to do it no more? We just read in our previous study, even when they became Sodom and Gomorrah, he said we're going to still have a remnant. So his word is eternal. He has not changed. There is no heathen nation from Europe that's going to be in his covenant. There's only the scattered nation of Israel that he's forever. And remember what it said in Psalm 105? He said he made a covenant with Abraham, his oath unto Isaac, the same he established for Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. Everlasting is a long time, isn't it? He said for an everlasting covenant, which is why John calls the gospel the everlasting gospel. It's forever. And why? Because the sacrifice of Messiah is good forever. And because the righteousness of the Father is good forever. Therefore, it's the Messiah's testimony that is the gospel of the Father's righteousness. It's everlasting. And the covenant he made with Moses and Israel is everlasting. And let us not do as the Christians do and dissect it as if it's two separate things. What we must understand is the everlasting gospel and the everlasting covenant is one in the same. Let me say that again for the Christians out there in the back. The everlasting gospel of Revelation chapter 14, verse 6, and the everlasting covenant of Psalms 105 is one and the same. And this is why when you have man-made religions, things seem so confusing. Because I'm saying this, and I'm quite sure there are people that don't understand what I just said. No, that's not the same. They're two different covenants. No, they're not. And as we are now studying Romans chapter 10, by the grace of the Father, we're going to show you from the scripture that they're one and the same. Starting here. So, this is Exodus chapter 34, from verse 27 to verse 35. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words, I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So the 10 commandments that these so-called European, so-called white Jesus Christians keep thinking that they want to post on their buildings and stuff. It ain't them. It ain't for them. It ain't about them. Remember, the covenant's for us. And it's by our Heavenly Father, by us, for us, and A-O, about us. Fubu A-O, by us, for us, about us. For thee and with Israel. 10 commandments is ours. The 10 commandments is the covenant. Written in words, but it's not just that. That's right. For us, by us, about us. That's it. Fubu A-O. Praise the Most High. Okay. Verse 29. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hands. Again, notice it's called the law, it's called the testimony, it's called the covenant. Same 10 commandments now. Law, covenant, testimony. So here, 2 tables of testimony. Let me ask you all a question. Bible students, calling all Bible students. Here's a question. Are you ready for the question? Give me another word for testimony. Give me another word for testimony. What does the word testimony mean? Like we know, like justification means to be declared innocent. Well, what is testimony? That's right. Thank you, Brother Harriet, Brother David, Prince of the tribe of Judah, Prince of the royal seed. It's a witness. It's a witness. So the Father is bearing witness to his people, Israel. And again, what does the Bible say? He has not done so with any other nation. He's only borne witness to us. And in that sense, Paul is writing to the Roman heathens, and they receive the fact that the Creator has borne witness to the bloodline, which is why Paul is there. In our day and age, when these white Jesus Christians try to deny who we are, it doesn't matter. He ain't bear no witness to them. He bore witness to us. What matters is whether we receive that witness. Remember what Messiah said when he told Nebuchadnezzar? He said, we've shown you stuff and you do not receive our witness. He said, you will not receive, he told Nebuchadnezzar, you will not, talking about the Sanhedrin, you're not receiving our witness. And brethren, we are being called to bear witness. As the Father said, you are my witnesses, that I am Yahweh and there's none else. Isn't that what he said now? That's Isaiah 44. You are my witnesses, that I am Yahweh and there's none else. So he's calling us to bear witness, and the witness is the covenant, the two tables, the witness of the Father to our people. Two tables of testimony in Moses' hand. When he came down from, oh, wait a minute. That reminds me, before we keep going, where else have you heard about two witnesses? I'm going to leave that out there in the air. Where else have you heard about two witnesses? When he came down from Mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with them. That's right, Revelation chapter 11. So the two witnesses is the witness of the Father through the 144,000 to whoever has ears to hear. Does that make sense, y'all? So the two witnesses are the tables of the covenant, which is the everlasting gospel, to whoever has ears to hear. And that's what he says, right? Whoever have ears to hear, let him hear. And the attack is on the two witnesses, the covenant and the people of the covenant. We are the people of the covenant, brethren. And ultimately, the attack is not just on us as the people of the covenant, but it's on who gave the witness, the Father. See, it's amazing how these people are out here, like the Bible says, they're worshiping the devil. And they think they're doing the Creator service. And he ain't even paying no attention to them. Verse 30. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him, and Moses talked with them. And afterward, all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them in commandment all that Yahweh had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before Yahweh to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put a veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him. So, brethren, I'm going to ask you a question I asked you a few minutes ago in a different way, though. So I asked you a few minutes ago, how was Moses able to stay for 40 days with no food and no water? And you correctly answered the question. Well, how was Moses' face lit up such that it scared people that saw him? so that he had to cover his face with a veil because it scared the people that saw him. The children of the bloodline were scared when they saw Moses. Now, why was that? Why was his face? Was it the type of oil he used on his face? Was it some cream that they developed in the wilderness? I mean, what was it? Can you bottle that and sell it? I mean, what was it that caused his face to shine like that? That's right. It was the presence of the Father. It was the Spirit of the Father upon him. So the Father's Spirit comes on Moses, right? And Moses has in his hand the 2 tables of the testimony, and the Father's Spirit is there. Do you understand now? You talk about the everlasting covenant. We talk about the everlasting gospel. It is by the same power of the Father's Spirit. Do we got that? So the goal of the 2 tables of testimony was for the people to depend on the Father's Spirit. There's no way they would be obedient. They would be buck wilding with the golden calf if it wasn't for the Father's Spirit. Now we see that, which is why I said in the beginning of this little discourse that the everlasting gospel and the everlasting covenant is one and the same, because you have the Father and his Spirit with the Messiah working together in his chosen ones. To be obedient to the covenant, to be in one with the Father, is to be obedient with the covenant. Praise the Most High. You won't be running around talking about the law is done away with and raise your hand if you trust in Jesus and be saved. You don't want to go to hell. But yeah, some of them going to hell anyway. That whole thing with the white Jesus ain't gonna help them. The whole thing, they're going to hell anyway. Anyway, Numbers chapter 11. Numbers chapter 11. I am going to begin in Numbers chapter 11. When Moses was pretty much done with you Negroes, he was pretty much done with y'all. And he came to the Father and said, I'm tired of these Hebrews, man. I mean, just kill me or something, because today he said, just shoot me something, because I can't deal with these Hebrews. And the Father gave him some instruction. And I'm going to begin at verse 16 with that. From Numbers chapter 11, verse 16. Moses had it with y'all. He had it with us. You know, we got a way of getting into somebody's skin. Hebrews got a way of doing that. Still do, unfortunately. But Moses had it. This was it. He said, man, please. He said, just kill me. Just kill me. You know, he said, let me start at verse 15. He was done with us. Numbers chapter 11, verse 15. If thou deal thus with me, kill me, I pray thee, out of hand. If I have found favor in thy sight, let me not see my wretchedness. That poor brother. Oh, poor Moses, man. He said, if I can't deal with these fools, they just too buck wild for me. Father, I'm sorry. I know you chose me to lead this people, but man, they too much for me. So the Father, seeing Moses was at his wit's end, verse 16, and Yahweh said unto Moses, gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom thou knowest to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them unto the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with thee. And I will come down and talk with thee there, and I will take of the Spirit which is upon thee, and will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with thee, that thou bear it not thyself alone. See? So again, he's talking about putting a spirit on 70 elders. Okay. Do you know that the Mormons believe that they got 70 elders, 70 Caucasian elders with funny kind of underwear, and they think that's the same as this? Oh, some of these heathens, man. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's go now. Numbers chapter 11. Let's see. I'm going to start where this takes place. I'm going to start at verse 24. Numbers chapter 11, verse 24. And I'm going to read from verse 24 to 29. Numbers chapter 11, from verse 24 to verse 29. And Moses went out and told the people the words of Yahweh, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. And Yahweh came down in a cloud, and spake unto them, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass, when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, and did not cease. And there remained 2 of the men in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other was Medad. And the spirit rested upon them. And they were of them that were written, but went not out of the tabernacle. And they prophesied in the camp. And there ran a young man and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad, or Medad, do prophecy in the camp. And YHWH, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My Lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Envious thou for my sake? Would Yah that all Yahweh's people were prophets, and that Yahweh would put his spirit upon them, aka the 144,000. Hold the winds until we have sealed the servants of our Most High in their forehead. And I heard the number that were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. No man could learn that song but the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. Praise the Most High. So we see now that the covenant is come with a spirit. If you don't understand that, and you're trying to obey the covenant without the eternal spirit of righteousness from the Father, well, let's see what Paul says about that in Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10. Romans chapter 10. Romans 10, he continues in the vein of wanting his bloodline to be saved. Romans chapter 10, beginning at verse 1. Romans chapter 10, from verse 1 to 4. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Yahweh for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Yahweh, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of Yahweh's righteousness, and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Yahweh. For Messiah is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. Stop. Went back in the 80s. They were, I don't know if they still teaching this, but they used to teach that this is proof the law is done away with. See, Jesus is the end of the law. There ain't no more law. The word end here is important. What does the word end mean? What is the translation in Greek of the word end? What is that? It's the word telos in Greek. Telos, which means goal or point. The point of the law is Messiah. The goal of the law is Messiah. And what did we just read in chapter 8? That he wanted us to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Telos means the goal. So what is the goal of us in the spirit of the law? What is the goal? For us to be like Messiah, who is sinless, who is holy. That's the goal. So the goal of the law is for us to be sinless and holy. What has Paul been talking about? being justified by faith. So if the goal of the law is for us to be sinless and holy, and we receive justification by faith, that does not mean we do away with the law. It means that that's what the law is supposed to make us into. Christ is the goal of the law. In the restored name King James Version, it says it right. It says Messiah is the goal of the law for righteousness. The goal of the law for righteousness is Messiah, because Messiah is the Word made flesh, right? The Word made flesh. Messiah is the covenant made flesh. He is the offering for the sins of his people. Okay? He is the offering for the forgiveness of sins of his people. He is the covenant made flesh. He is the walking, breathing law. That's what the goal is. So the goal of the law is Messiah, for us to be like Messiah. Does that make sense, y'all? That's the goal. That's what it's there for. It's to point us to be like Messiah. Okay? So if you are trying to obey this law without the Spirit of the Father, you've just separated the righteousness, that only righteousness you can get, and you're trying to establish your own righteousness. Every religion is an establishment of man's own righteousness. Every religion. Because every religion, everyone would claim to be right. Correct, right? Correct? All religions claim to be teaching what's right. All of them. But if you are apart from the covenant of Yah, the only true God, and his Spirit, you are just teaching a man-made righteousness. So that churches that are out here telling you the law is done away with, but they still want your tithe money. Y'all seen that? There are churches out here telling you the law is done away with, but they still want your tithe money. It's man-made righteousness. These churches that make up names of man and they're of Christianity, it's man-made righteousness. The Hebrew Messiah is the goal of the law. And that goal is the same way Moses received it, the testimony in the Spirit. He received the testimony and he received the Father's Spirit. And he himself said that Yah would want all his people to be prophets and have his Spirit on them. Isn't that what Moses said? He said, would God that Yah have all his people as prophets and have his Spirit on them, he told Joshua. Because that's what he wanted. That's the whole point. And Paul says it here. He's the goal of the law for righteousness. And his whole letter of Romans and all his letters are about receiving righteousness. I know people want to talk about love, but the love comes with righteousness. Righteousness is the main package. Everything, including love, is in that package. Wisdom, love, understanding, in righteousness. Praise the Most High. Okay. Does that make sense? You everybody got that? So, okay. So now verse 5. So now he said they're zealous. And isn't that true? You get people more zealous when they're worshiping a man-made religion than when they're following the truth of the Spirit. They're more zealous. They're zealous for Christmas. They're zealous for Easter, right? They're zealous for their church building fund. They're zealous for their denomination. I remember I had a woman, I started teaching Revelation a long time ago. And in the beginning, some woman caught part of it. And she said, man, this is interesting. I want to learn more. She said, is this Baptist? She said, is this Baptist? And I said, no, it's not Baptist. It's Bible. And then she said, if it's not Baptist, I don't want to do it, have anything to do with it. See? So she was zealous to be part of the denomination of Baptists. She was not zealous for the word. And that's the same thing that you're seeing right here now out here. People are zealous for their man-made religion. They are not zealous for the Spirit of perfect righteousness from the Father alone and his word alone. They're not zealous for that. But Paul is teaching us we should be zealous for that. We should be zealous, especially you bloodline. You should be zealous for Father's righteousness and his spirit. You should be zealous to receive justification, to receive the free gift of righteousness. You should be zealous for that, because that's how you're going to be in harmony with the covenant. Okay? Everlasting covenant, everlasting gospel, synonymous. Verse 5. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth those things shall live in them. But the righteousness which is of faith, speaking on this wise, say not in thy heart, who shall ascend into heaven? That is, to bring Messiah down from above. Or who shall descend into the deep? That is, to bring up Messiah again from the dead. But what saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. Oh, here's another quiz question. What Old Testament prophet is Paul quoting here? That was a quote from an Old Testament prophet. He said, the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say not in thy heart, who shall ascend into heaven? That is, to bring Messiah down from above. Or who shall descend into the deep? That is, to bring up Messiah again from the dead. But what saith it? He's quoting a scripture. What saith it? The word is nigh thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. What is he quoting here? So we've heard Paul quote Hosea and Isaiah. This is a different one. So it's not Hosea or Isaiah. He's quoting another prophet here. Give up. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30. That's what he's quoting here. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Yes. Let's look. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 30 from verse 10 down to verse 14. Deuteronomy chapter 30. Yes, he's quoting Moses, talking to Gentiles and quoting Moses. I don't think Moses wanted the law done away with. Do you? This is Deuteronomy chapter 30. I'm going to start it from verse 10 and go down to verse 14. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Most High, to keep his commandments and his statutes which are written in this book of the law, and if thou turn unto Yahweh thy Most High with all thy heart and with all thy soul, for this commandment which I command thee this day is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. And he said, the word of faith which we preach. So he said, you don't have to go looking for it. We just told you. It's right here. The word of faith. Moses said, you ain't got to go looking for the covenant. It's right here. We just gave it to you. It's the word we're teaching. Praise the Most High. See? So Paul and Moses saying the same thing. So the everlasting covenant is indeed the everlasting gospel. And it's near us. Why? It's the word we teach. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Okay. Now, verse 9. I couldn't wait to get to verse 9. This is Romans chapter 12, verse 9. Or another one of the favorites of the Christians. Romans chapter 12, chapter 10. Romans chapter 10, verse 9. Are you ready? Wait, Romans chapter 10, verse 9. I want to make sure y'all get this. That if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Master YHWH, and shalt believe in thy heart that Yahweh hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. Let's stop right there. Let me ask you all a question. I want to make sure you get this clear. If I was to say, listen now, and that's going to sound crazy to you, but bear with me, brethren. Bear with me. Okay. If thou confess in thy mouth Santa Claus, and thou believe in thy heart that Santa Claus comes on December 25th, thou shalt be saved. Now, why is that falsehood? Why is that falsehood? If I say, if you confess with your mouth Santa Claus, and you believe in your heart that Santa Claus comes on December 25th, thou shalt be saved. I know it sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Why? Because Santa Claus doesn't exist. And the word doesn't speak of any Santa Claus coming on December 25th, right? So that's a falsehood. Easy, right? Well, let me ask you, does white Jesus of Christianity exist? Does white Jesus of Christianity exist? That would be a yes or no answer. No, he doesn't exist. So if you're confessing in your heart and believing in a white Jesus of Christianity, you're not going to be saved. That is not the Bible. It is not the gospel. Now, who is this Jesus then? He's a black, let me say it clearly, in today's vernacular, because I had some woman try to correct me the other day. We're not black. Okay, whatever. Okay, man, look, in today's vernacular, Jesus is a black man. His name is YHWH. If you confess with your mouth the master, YHWH of the tribe of Judah, of the black man, and believe in your heart that Yahweh has raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. If you believe in a blue-eyed, blonde-haired Jesus that doesn't exist, you cannot be saved because he doesn't exist. Somebody say, well, what does his color matter? It's amazing how many Caucasian and Europeans say that. It's amazing. It matters because you guys created race. You're not even white. You just name yourselves white to make yourself sound pure. What a joke. But your white Jesus cannot save you. He does not exist. It's like saying, I am trusting in the purple Messiah. Is there a purple Messiah? It don't matter what color. Oh, I think it does. I think it does. Why would it matter? Because that's how he's described in the Bible. Hey, it helps you now. First of all, the Most High describes who he is, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He describes this God. This is not the God of the Arabs. This is not the God of the children of Yefet. This is not the God of the Hamites. He's the God of the children of Jacob. So you got to single him out from all the other false gods. You don't have, he said, I am Yahweh that brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. There. So you got to single him out. He's the God of the people he brought out of Egypt. That's us. He didn't bring no Amalekites out of Africa. Well, right? He didn't bring no Amalekites out of Africa. So now, if you was to say, well, purple Jesus of the tribe of Gad, I'm purple Jesus of the tribe of Gad. It really is that? Can you be saved? You raise your hand and trust in purple Jesus from Gad? Can you? No, you cannot. Why? Because his name, Messiah, is with Judah, and he is melanated. He's a dark-skinned brother with woolly hair. That's the one you want to trust in. He's the one that paid the penalty for the children of Israel, YHWH. That's who you got to trust in. You want to be saved? You can't just raise your hand for white Jesus. So a Christian telling you, raise your hand and say if you love Jesus, that ain't going to help you. Them ain't the magic words, because that ain't the right Messiah. Okay? And so for all of them saying color doesn't matter, that's crap. It does matter, because that's what he looks like. He comes from Judah, not Gad, the children of Israel of Judah. That's who you're saying you believe and trust in. And by the way, let me please point out that at the time Paul writing this, the reason he's writing this is because the majority of the Hebrews rejected Messiah. So it was a big deal for somebody to stand up and say, I'm receiving YHWH Mashiach of Judah. Where is he that is born? You remember this? Where is he that is born King of the Jews? We have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. That wasn't no Christmas. That caused babies to lose their life. Okay, so it's the same thing here. People were being killed for standing and saying, I am a follower of Messiah. I am a follower of the way. They were being killed for that. Nowadays, guess what? Guess what? Let me ask y'all another question. I'm asking a lot of questions today because I'm trying to provoke thought. Look, if you stand up and say, I am a follower of the Mashiach, a black man from the tribe of Judah. Let me ask you, these Europeans, do you think they would take you seriously? Do you think that they will say, oh, yes, you're good with us? Would they? If you stood up and said, I'm not with the white Jesus, I'm with the black man from the tribe of Judah, will they be good with you? No, they will not be. They will not be. So that it has not changed, has it? So that it is just as dangerous to stand for the true Hebrew Messiah today than it was 2,000 years ago. Hasn't changed. He is still the stumbling block. Is he not? He's still the stumbling block. He's still the stumbling block. It has not changed. See, so there is no white man you can raise your hand to. What they're really doing is saying, we believe in our own. We believe in our own race of people that can save us. That's what they're doing. When they raise their hand to the white Jesus of Christianity, they are saying, we believe in our own race of people, our own bloodline can save us. And that is a falsehood. No, he can't. The Hebrew Messiah is not a white man. He's not a European. He is a black man from the tribe of Judah, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, a Semite. See, so yeah, there's two different ones here. So this verse here, verse 9, it ain't talking about Christianity. If you trying to receive Christ in Christianity, that ain't going to help you. There's been disasters that we talked about, right? Helene, San Antonio, flood of Texas, and others. And we said more is coming. And I don't want to go into detail, but if you're paying attention, it did again. Another thing happened yesterday. Wiped them out. And there's more coming. There's more coming. See, so you got to understand who you raising your hand to. Who you raising your hand to? Who you saying is the master YHWH? Who you saying? Is it some European from your Christian Baptist church? That ain't gonna help you. That ain't gonna help you. You got no. See, listen, brethren. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. So what does that mean? That means you have protection from the Father. You have protection from the Father. So if you are worshiping a false white Jesus, guess what? You don't have protection. Guess what? You do not have. I don't care how many white people are on that side. I don't care how rich they are. I don't care that this is their system. They have no protection. And what's about to come on them, they're not protected from. Versus all of the Gentiles that come to the truth, they're protected in the truth. Praise the Most High. They dwell in the secret place of the Most High. They have come to the truth. They know who the true Hebrews are. They know who the God of those true Hebrews are. They also know that their cousins laid hands on the true Hebrews. I was just telling some fool on Facebook the other day. I said, your people are a race of devils. And I said, the lust of your father that you going to do. You're liars and murderers just like him from the beginning. And she's like, and I said, you and your cousins are going to get punished. She said, my cousins? Then I broke it down for her further. They couldn't say nothing. Don't mess with me like that. especially if you ain't got no Bible. Don't. What KRS say? No, 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 no. You don't come at us like that. No, 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 no. Mm-mm. You ain't got enough. It's like my man DMX said, you ain't strong enough. You too weak. You ain't strong enough. Your man-made philosophy don't mean nothing to us. See? So yeah, raise your hand and trust in the Messiah Hawashai, the black man from the tribe of Judah. Now you talking. Of the children of Israel who were descendants of slaves. Now you talking. Otherwise, you ain't saying nothing. Quote another rapper from Brooklyn Zoo. He ain't saying nothing. Flock him. He ain't saying nothing. They ain't saying nothing. Praise the Most High. That's ODB. Anyway, you see how many messages was in there we didn't even see? They ain't saying nothing. Romans chapter 10, verse 10. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. Praise the Most High. You cannot get righteousness and salvation from white Jesus Christianity. You cannot. For the scripture says, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Again, he's quoting Isaiah here. For there is no difference between Jew and the Greek, for the same master over all is rich unto all, and unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call in the name of Yahweh shall be saved. That's Joel chapter 2, verse 28. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? How shall they hear without a preacher? Ooh, here comes some more Isaiah. And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and the glad tidings of good things. That's Isaiah. Again, praise the Most High. But they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Isaiah said, Master, who hath believed our report? Isaiah 53. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of Yahweh. But I say, have they not heard? Verily, their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the end of the world. But I say, did not Israel know? For Moses said, see, he's quoting so many prophets, I can't even keep up. Isaiah, Moses. He quoting stuff left and right. He quoted song. He's quoting all kind of stuff. Here, for Moses said, I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people. That's Deuteronomy. I will provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people. By a foolish nation will I anger you. Wait a minute. Let me ask you all a question. What nations have made us angry? Because he's talking about provoking the Hebrews to jealousy by them that are not a people. So are we among countries that make us angry? Those are not peoples. And are they making us enraged? Those are a foolish nation. So are we in, I guess my question is, do we dwell in nations that make us angry? Do we dwell in any nations today that have us enraged, that kill us on the street unarmed, that cheer on our enemies, that are part of the oppression of us? Those nations, he says, I will make you jealous by them that are no people. So Father is not even looking at them as a people. He's not even looking at them as a people. The Constitution don't matter to him. Then he says, I will anger you with a foolish nation. So the nations that's making you enraged, think of it. You've been raised in a nation and you have ever been enraged by that nation? Have they ever said anything about you or done anything to you or to your ancestors that made you rage? That's a foolish nation. They're not even a people. I didn't say that. Shit. The word said, Moses said it. I think that's Deuteronomy 33, if I'm not mistaken. Verse 20. But Isaiah is very bold and says, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But to Israel, he said, all day long I have stretched forth my hand unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. Isaiah chapter 1. See, here's Paul teaching Gentiles. And he's teaching Gentiles out of the Old Testament about the gospel. Paul is teaching Gentiles about justification by faith through the Old Testament. Imagine that. And you know why we can understand it? Because the Father has given us this understanding because we have repented of our sin and the sins of our fathers. That's why. We have repented of our sin. This is the thing for Brother Khalid and Brother Malcolm. Brother Khalid and Brother Malcolm pointed out very clearly the curse upon the white man that he called, what they called the white man. But what they never did explain is why the God they served allowed us to be placed in a position of servitude to these devils. I've never heard Malcolm explain it, and I've never heard Khalid explain it. Why were we allowed by your Allah to be put in servitude? Malcolm would explain how we were way ahead of them. While they was in the hills and caves of Europe, we had silk. We had libraries before they even knew what a book was. We had libraries. But he never explained how do we get from that exalted position into servitude to devils. He never explained that because they didn't know. We now understand we were in servitude to devils because before we came here, we worshiped devils. And the Father said, oh, you like devils so much? Let me let them rule over you. And see how you like that. You like to worship wood and stone so much? Let me let them rule over you with wood and stone. See how you like that. See, we were worshiping other gods. That's why he allowed us to be under the servitude of devils. But guess what? He said, when it comes to your mind, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you call them to mind among the nations I have scattered you, I am going to deliver you from your captivity. Guess where we are right now? We're at that awakening. And so the awakening of us, of who we are, simple, who we are the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel. Therefore, we are the descendants of slaves, as he delivered us. I am Yahweh that brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Bondage means slavery. And so he used to delivering us, and he said, I'm going to set my hand again the second time to recover the remnant of my people, which shall be left. That's the remnant. That's us. And here we're about to be recovered. Praise the Most High. Messiah is about to come back. The Hebrew Messiah, the black man. You know, Khalid called them the revolutionary. And yo, check it out. When he comes back and he overthrows Babylon, isn't that what a revolution does? Does not a revolution overthrow a current government and then replace it with a new government? Isn't that what a revolution does, brethren? A revolution, as Malcolm said, a revolution takes land, right? The American Revolution was the Caucasian European taking land from the Indian to establish another Caucasian nation. And every revolution has to do with land, everyone. So here, Messiah is coming back. He's going to overthrow the entire nations of the earth, the whole system. He's going to overthrow the whole principalities, and he's going to set up the nation of Israel. And he said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So the revolution is coming, and it's not going to be televised. Yes, there's going to be a revolution. The Hebrew Messiah is about to be the revolutionary that they ain't never seen before. Oh, they thought King Kai-shek was bad. Oh, they thought Pol Pot was bad. Oh, they thought they was bad. No, you ain't seen it yet. You thought your revolution was bad? Your gunpowder ain't going to help you. It ain't going to help you. It's going to blow up in your own head. Here we come. See, you only got to worry about us as far as our cousin is concerned. And so when our cousin comes and he organizes us off that sea of glass, y'all going to have a problem. You don't worry about right now. But you know what? It's almost like you can hear the footsteps. You hear what I'm saying? Like, in other words, you don't see it yet, but you can hear the footsteps. It's coming. So Paul was talking about Messiah as the goal of the law, about receiving the perfection of righteousness instead of trying to establish your own with your own man-made religion. And he quoted all kinds of prophets in doing that. Praise the Most High. He quoted Joel. He quoted Isaiah. He quoted Moses. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, he gave 3 there. He quoted Joel. He quoted Isaiah. He quoted Moses. That's right. It's just the quiet before the storm. The footsteps are coming. Here they come. We can hear them coming because he's given it to us. Because why? He's given us ears to hear. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Praise the Most High, brethren. Praise the Most High. It's coming soon. It's coming in our lifetime. In the next 7 years, it's coming. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Trust in Yahweh with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. And it shall be health to thy navel and marrow to thy bones. Shalom.